Hey boys, welcome back to some NRL SUPERCOACH 2024. It's gonna be the first video I'm making on the upcoming season of SUPERCOACH. I was gonna wait because I mean it's still pretty early. Although I mean we're midway through January now. Australia Day is coming up. I think generally Australia Day is when like SUPERCOACH releases like to the public, to the general public, if you don't have SUPERCOACH Plus. If you have SUPERCOACH Plus, you can go in and like it says a team picker, you can make your team, you can muck around with it, have a look at the prices, look at what you can sort of build with the new salary cap, but also like pricing and this and that. So I was gonna wait, but honestly, I've just had the itch. I've had the itch. I mean, cricket's been good, but man, I'm excited for some NRL to come back. So in this video, I'm just gonna go through. This is my this is a nice little quick mock team I've just done up, just to have a quick little squiz at what we can look at. I will go through like positions. I'll either do like team. Like I'll go through teams, or I'll probably go through position by position. I think that's generally what I like to do. I'll go through, sort of what I think of each position and what we're looking at this year. But there's a couple of, honestly, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky this year. I'm a little torn on what I want to do in terms of going really big guns and cheapies, or a lot more mid-range players. I mean, again, just prefacing, it's very early. Like we don't know we don't know trial teams or anything like that. So there's going to be cheapies, genuine cheapies pop up, and obviously you'll chuck them in the team and that'll free up money. But let's just have a quick look at what we've done. Obviously the team is going to change a lot as time goes on, but let's just have a quick run through. So at dummy half is definitely a talking point. I feel like it is interesting, but also at the same time it's very boring, the dummy halves. Like Harry Grant is so far ahead, and then it's a matter of, do you want to pay up for Grant and pretty much just keep him through the whole season? Or do you take a bit of a punt on another guy that potentially could have a breakout year? I mean, that the guy last year was Marshall King, and he was excellent, but unfortunately Marshall King burned a lot of people because of injury. Like he missed a couple of weeks, and then when he was meant to come back, he missed another week, and then it was just, he was sort of off and on for, sort of the middle to the latter parts of the year. Otherwise, I mean, Marshall King was sensational. I mean, Wade Egan was honestly in a similar boat. He was great when he played, scored a lot of tries, had a lot of try assists, but then, a lot of head knocks, missed a lot of games. So there was a couple of guys that did stand up, but the consistency was not there. So if you kept like either of those guys, you would have felt it badly. That's why Grant was so far above. Now, I've gone with Robson, who, I mean, he averaged, it was like, I think mid-50s. Yeah, 55 he averaged, which is honestly pretty good, because the Cowboys as a whole were pretty poor. They were pretty terrible. And honestly, their forward pack at times just got run over. And Robson, safe as houses. He, like, I guess the thing, like, does he play Origin again? Like, he might. I mean, honestly, maybe it is the changing the guard, and Robson does make Origin, which would make his selection a bit more annoying, because you would like to pick, if you're not going Grant, you definitely want to pick a dummy half that you don't have to worry about Origin with. So, I don't know, is Robson gonna get the spot again? He could, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with New South Wales this year. You can't really predict it, so there's no really any point worrying about it before the fucking trials even have started. But I don't know, Robson, I felt like it was a down year for the Cowboys. Well, obviously, and also Robson, like, he's not you know, he's not going to be Grant or even Cook for that matter with dummy half runs, but he is a powerful ball runner. I don't know how many tries he scored off the top of my head, but it definitely wasn't many, and he definitely didn't have many try assists of just like, you know, passing off to a Tamalolo or a Big Bopper just barging over for an easy 20-point swing. So he missed out, like he just didn't have the attacking stats, but he still averaged 55. I'm leaning towards him just for a bit of a bounce back. The Cowboys are going to be better. You know, forward pack I think is pretty strong with most guys fit and hopefully firing. So I like the Robson. I mean, I'm very torn on what the hell I'm going to do with the dummy halves this year, but at the moment for 560, I don't mind Robson. I feel like that's what he started at last year too. I feel like he was like mid 500s pretty much the whole year and didn't deviate. So yeah, interesting. Our second dummy half at the moment, Danny Levi. I mean, he's pretty much a cheapie, bottom dollar, not far off it, and yeah, obviously could get that starting spot at the Raiders. He's obviously not going to set it on fire, but I mean, there's not too many cheapie options at dummy half. If he can average 40, make a little bit of cash if you need to play him in a pinch. But yeah, if there's a better option, obviously we'll look into it. I really don't. I mean, again, another case could be made. Do you go two sort of mid-range dummy halves? And I guess maybe, but like, I don't know. I've never really liked doing that because the dummy halves generally, like, barring probably last year, the dummy halves generally have sort of dished up a decent cheapie that's made good cash and scored decently well. But I don't know, it's been a bit of a dearth of cheaper dummy halves sort of coming through. I guess most teams have sort of got their dummy halves, and there's no real young. There's obviously a couple of good youngsters coming through, but they're probably not ready to really hit the big time. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be a watch to see if there's any sort of one that pops up, but we'll see. Again, we'll go through more of the dummy halves in a separate video. The front row forward at the moment, I've got Big Payne Haas. Just the consistency of Haas. He is only second highest. Fucking Tino, Big Tino is like 780 or 790. He's quite a bit more expensive, and for how much less Payne Haas is compared to Tino, I will go Payne Haas every day of the week. I don't I know some people might say that Flegler is gone, so Payne Haas will need to step up. I don't really think it matters what the Broncos forward stocks are. Payne Haas is going to score what he scores, mid 70s, high 70s. That's pretty much what you're going to get. And I felt like last year, the front row, it wasn't terrible, but I started with Joe Tarpany, and he just, it was never like a big swing either way. Like, Tarpany was fine, but I felt like every week I was missing out on good points with not having just that rock solid front row option. Obviously, I didn't jump on Fennell Blake. I didn't really have Tino. I didn't have Payne Haas. So the front row was always just annoyingly missing out on points. So this year, I'm thinking just start with Payne Haas, pay the premium, and just lock him in for the whole year. Obviously, he's going to miss Origin. He might get rested now and again, but he's just such a safe lock and load front row option that it's at the moment I'm leaning towards it. I could go Tarpany, but I don't know. I just think Tarpany, he sort of always averaged around that 60, 65. Even when he's been on fire, like Ricky Stewart just does not play him the big minutes. Like, even if Tarpany is on absolute fire, Ricky Stewart will take him off around that 30-minute mark. I'm sure there's the odd game where he plays longer minutes, but he still gets that spell, right? It's not like Ricky Stewart just lets him go the whole game, like sometimes Fennell Blake does, sometimes Payne Haas did. So that's what I'm leaning towards. Payne Haas. Just start him, just lock him in. Next one, I just said that he's leaving. Thomas Flegler at 475k. Again, at the moment, there's no real. There's a couple of cheapy options that potentially will see value if they go to spot, but at the moment, I'm leaning towards Tom Flegler. Last year, there was sort of an abundance of like 400 to 450k front row options that they were fine, but they never really did much. Now, Flegler, is he going to do much more at the Dolphins? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I know, again, people will think he is going to play way more minutes, potentially. I don't necessarily think so, because I think Flegler at his best is more an impactful forward, you know. Obviously, you want him playing decent minutes as a gun, you know, rep level forward, but I don't necessarily think he's going to turn into a massive minute eater in the middle of the field. Like, you want him for his impact. You want the offloads, you want the big hits. I think that's what you're going to get, but just a little bit more, I would say. So I think 470k for Flegler is like rock solid. I think worst case scenario, he doesn't really lose money. He'll maintain his price and potentially make cash, because he does have that bit of upside in him with some a few tackle breaks, few offloads. That's what probably the Dolphins need as well. So at the moment, Flegler looks good. On the bench, I've got Joe Offengawi and David Mawali. So Mawali, I thankfully did not have Mawali at all last year. He started at I want to say maybe like 220. He wasn't. I don't think he was quite bottom dollar, but he was definitely like cheap. And you know, he had some good preseason. He looked strong. A lot of people thought there was big things coming from Mawali, but he just had no minutes. And even like, I gotta be honest, even when he had minutes, I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. I thought he looked pretty not great. Like, he just didn't look ready. Whenever I saw him, he just looked pretty gassed. Like, after a few minutes, like he wasn't quite ready last year. So I'm part of me is like, you know, the Rabbitohs forward pack, they've still got some good quality there, but they are getting older. Surely Mawali, there are big raps on him. He is a good young player. So sure, I'm just thinking that this is the year where he averages 40. He averages 40, makes a bit of money, and doesn't turn into an absolute nightmare. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Joe Offengawi, I mean, he's there for now. I mean, he's 350k. Obviously, a mid-season transfer last year. He started it like he was a massive prize because he played big minutes of the Tigers. I thought he was excellent for the Tigers for a couple of years there, but went to the Eels. Now I'm curious to see sort of how the Eels will line up full strength, because does Joe Offengawi get more minutes through the middle? Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like for their forward pack, because obviously Greg came onto the scene with a bang last year. Obviously had a bit of an injury concern for a bit, but he was very good. Obviously, Junior Paulo is going to play big minutes, but does Joe Offengawi play some decent minutes? Maybe. At 350k at the moment, he's just sort of a placeholder, but he could be very good value if he does get decent minutes, because I mean, we know he's got good work rate. He's got a good offload in him. I mean, I've always been a fan of Joe Offengawi, so I don't know, one to keep an eye on, I would say. Also, it's handy he's a dual 2RF front row forward, which is nice. Moving on to the back row. So the back row is it is stacked with value options. Yeah, I'll definitely be this the back row and probably the center wing, but the back row is going to be a long video because there's just so much to talk about. At the moment, Viliami Kikau, 470k, had just a absolute horror season last year. Injury, another injury, didn't you can write that year off. He's 470k. If he's fit and firing, again, worst case scenario, he will make some money. Like, there is no doubt he will not finish the season if he doesn't get injured, obviously. But if he has a, pretty much fully fit season this year, Viliami Kikau will definitely make money. Obviously, again, he's not going to be... I don't know. I want to say he's not going to have as much influence as he did at the Panthers, but at the same time, the Dogs need him to have a big influence if they're to be any shot of winning games. They need Kikau to fucking do some good work. So I'm expecting a big bounce back for Kikau. And honestly, at the moment, I mean, again, a lot of these guys are sort of placeholders there. Could be changed very easily, but at the moment I'm pretty locked into Kikau. I just feel like it's going to be a very big resurgence for Kikau. Obviously, you know Kikau is going to be a guy that he could get 30 odd one week, and then 120 the next. Like, he is a guy that can be up and down, but I think overall holding him is going to be pretty fruitful. That's my, again, I mean, when the final team comes out and I don't have Kikau, fucking, you can rip into me, I guess. But at the moment, I'm very keen on Kikau. Sean Lane is another guy that I will be shocked if I don't have Sean Lane at the start of round one. Again, unless he's injury or whatever, it was honestly very handy for us this year because he obviously came back last year and he didn't look good. Like, I was sort of expecting him to come out and go big for a couple of games and his price to be massive starting this season. But thankfully, he looked pretty poor and just didn't score too well. So his price is nice and low, $4.46. I mean, he was arguably the best second rower a couple of years ago outside of Dylan Brown. Like, they were just causing all sorts of havoc. So, I mean, Sean Lane... He's locked. He's locked in, I think, for my team. Then we got Sean Blore, who has the Tigers icon, but he is going to the Melbourne Storm. He's $4.45. Now, this is definitely a placeholder. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be big on Sean Blore, and I am as well, but he is a little expensive. Like, $440K for Blore. Yeah, I actually thought he'd be a little cheaper, but I do remember he did have a couple of good games at the Tigers when he started. So, I don't know, the Melbourne, like, man, if they do line up with Blore and Ali Katoa on the edges, it's going to be a pretty dangerous second row combo. Because I do really like Blore. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I hope the Storm can get it out of him. So, at the moment, like, there's so many, again, we'll talk more about the second rows, but there are so many good second row options. So Blore, yeah, I'll have to see a bit of him in the trials and obviously to make sure he's locked in for 80 minutes before I go him. But he again, depending how many people jump on him, he could be potentially a great pod. Like, I don't know, a lot of people are going to jump on him. Probably the fact he's gone to the Storm, if he gets that edge spot, yeah, probably people will jump on him because obviously Ali Katoa killed it last year on an edge. But he'll be outside of Munster, who, I mean, Jerome Hughes really links up so nicely with his edge back rollers. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. On the bench, Angus Crichton at 400k. I mean, I get Angus Crichton at 400k. Like, obviously, he's had some issues last year. Started out of the game. He came back. Didn't really... honestly, I can't even remember watching him play. Like, he played a few minutes. Did he start? I'm sure he started the odd game, but he was off the bench very often. So, again, it'll come down to team lists. Like, surely they don't fucking stick with Egan Butcher and, like, Nat Butcher in the second row, right? Like, Sitili Tupanua is another guy who's very cheap, coming off injury. He should get an edge spot back in that side, but does Crichton get the other edge spot? Maybe. I don't know. They might transition Crichton to the middle like they did last year, but I just don't. I still feel like Crichton's got a lot more to give. Like, I think he's still got a lot more to give the game. It's just whether or not, I guess he's up to it, playing 80 minutes on an edge, going back to what he did. But yeah, we'll see what the team shakes up to be. But regardless, the Roosters definitely have at least one guy that you're probably going to want to pick up in the edge back row spot at a pretty good value. Tellers Duncan is, again, another placeholder. He is going to be a Supercoach gun, but is he going to be a gun at the Rabbitohs? I mean, the problem is that fucking Cameron Murray is there. So Tellers Duncan he's good. Like, he's really good. And every time, like, his price is $320K, but like his minutes would be awful. He just comes on and just kills it. Like he scores tries. He's line breaking. Like, I don't like. If I was the Rabbitohs, like, man, I'd be so tempted to put him on an edge. But are they going to do that? It is nice having him come off the bench to sort of up the ante a little bit with his footwork and speed. So again, a wait and see on Tellers Duncan. But I mean, he is like, yeah, he's an absolute gun in the future. And then the other placeholder, I guess, at the moment, Semi Fainu, gone from the Manly boys to the Tigers. I mean, I thought he was... I remember picking up fucking Fainu as I think he was a dual front row forward, second row forward. He was a great little pickup as a downgrade and sort of a dual position guy. I think he was dual, right? If I remember. But regardless, he looked really good. They played him in the edge back row spot for a few games. He looked solid. His base wasn't incredible, but he had some attack in him. And then fucking, I think it coincided with him signing to the Tigers that he just fucking dropped out of the team. Like, he was nowhere to be seen. I was like, come on, man. I need the points. But I think, again, like, Fainu has a lot of talent, and if he jags an edge spot, then, I mean, lock him in at 260K, basically. Our halves. So, fuck, I'm just looking now. I got so many Tigers, bro. Halves. So, the halves are going to be another very interesting discussion. The halfbacks primarily. Nathan Cleary v. Hines. We'll get more into it, obviously, in the halfback discussion, but at the moment, or do you go both? That's the other point. At the moment, I'm just going one, and I'm just going Nathan Cleary. I think if... It's tough. It's honestly tough. It might come down to sort of draws, potentially. I know the Sharks do have another good draw. Nico Hines is... Yeah, I think he is quite a bit more expensive than... Yeah, he is quite a bit more expensive than Cleary, which is a factor for sure. At the moment, if I'm going one, I am leaning towards Cleary. I just feel like Cleary, I know he averaged less, but he just feels safer to me, even though Hines still fucking pulls it out of his ass. But I don't know. I still feel safer owning Cleary than Hines if I had to choose one, but... Yeah, I don't know. You could be swayed either way. I mean, honestly, I'd want both, but gonna need some cheapies to pop up if I'm gonna do both. That's for sure. Placeholder at the moment, we got Jaden Sullivan. I don't think I'm gonna go with Sullivan, but you never know. It is nice. He's got the dual 5'8" halfback, and then as you can see, what Aiden Caesar in 5'8", who's got also the dual, who you could switch around. I think. At the moment, Aiden Caesar for me is sort of... I think I'm going to lock Caesar in as either a... not cheapy, but he's a pretty cheap option as my second. Either halfback or 5'8". I like Caesar. Obviously, he hasn't been in the NRL for a while, but he should goal kick. Like, he is a very, very good goal kicker. If he doesn't goal kick, I'd be fucking shocked. He's a good goal kicker. The Tigers, like... I'm not, they're not going to score 30 points a game, but hopefully they score a few tries for Caesar's goal kicks. I know Caesar was never really a huge Supercoach player, but he was always solid. Like, he's a good, solid defender. He does take the line on occasionally, and then throw in the goal kick. So, I don't know. At 340k, the more I look at it, is it really worth it? Maybe. But there's just, again, we'll look more at the halfbacks, but my quick squeeze... I was like, there's not really many good cheap options, man. I don't know. There might be a couple pop up, but we'll have a closer look. But at the moment, Caesar looks pretty good. Sullivan, I'm not. I don't know. I've got him in there for now. I probably will not be going Sullivan. I just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It's gonna, again, it'll be interesting to see how the Tigers sort of shape up. Obviously, Dwayhe is not going to be in the side for the opening, maybe couple of months potentially. I don't know. So it opens a spot, but I don't know. I'm not gonna want fucking both Tigers halves, surely. The 5'8", we got Dylan Brown. Now again, like I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I should go cheaper in the 5'8" spot. I could save a lot of money. But the more I think about it, again, it's like Dylan Brown is so good. Like I feel like Dylan Brown is easily the best 5'8" in Supercoach. Cameron Munster is obviously up there as well, but I think he is a peg down with his scoring, and also the fact that he plays Origin. Like Dylan Brown doesn't play Origin, and I'm pretty sure the Eels have another good draw through the Origin period. I need to have another look at the draw, but Dylan Brown with his scoring and also the availability, Dylan Brown, in my opinion, is by far the best 5'8" option. So it's like just pull the plug, get Dylan Brown in, keep him for the season. Obviously, barring injury and suspension, but you can't see the future on that. But get him in, lock him in. He'll be a great cover. He'll be probably the top scorer. It'd be surprising if he wasn't, or at least one or two. So at the moment, I'm pretty locked into Brown. He's 800k. That's why the big boy, Payne Haas 750, Nathan Cleary 900, Brown 800. That's why I haven't got Harry Grant at the moment, but cheapies pop up. Obviously, we do have a bit of money in our sort of reserves, like 350 on off in Gowie, 400, 320, Sullivan 400, Caesar 340. So you can definitely free up cash there, but I do like a more balanced team with the buys as well. So that's what we're looking at. The center wings. So I am a bit stumped on the center. I don't know what I'm going to do in the center wing spot either. It's going to be, again, another long video when we discuss the center wings, but they're just a tricky bunch. Like there are some good players, but they're very expensive. And at the moment, there's no, again, the cheapies will pop up out of nowhere, but at the moment the cheapies just don't look that enticing. So at the moment, Ruben Garrick, I do think I do think the time for having a few more sort of gun center wings are probably now. Like having those guys that go big consistently is just nice, So Ruben Garrick at 720, he'll have the goal kicking. Tommy Trbojevic hopefully be back. If he stays on the wing with Tommy Trbojevic there, it's just beautiful. He's never in calculations for Origin, which is a little bit surprising to me, but he's not. So there's cover there. Ruben Garrick and I was sort of looking at him or Holmes, and Holmes is he was a little bit more expensive. So I was like, Garrick poses a little bit more value at that price. So at the moment, Garrick, Taylor May. It seems like Taylor May is going to get the center spot, which you'd probably rather Taylor May on the wing, but at the end of the day, I still think Taylor May at 460 is it's great value. Obviously, he could have been a little cheaper, not playing the whole fucking year, but he's 460 because obviously his first couple of years he's been incredible. I think regardless, playing in the centers, he's still going to have good work rate. It'll be interesting to see if he does get in and do what he did on the wing in the centers, or he does sort of conserve a bit more energy. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, a few more tackles, and just being in that Panthers back line, he's a bit of a lock in for me. I think we got Vialia. We got Vialia, who I do like Vialia, and there is going to be a spot at the Cowboys in their center spot because obviously Holmes is one, and then the other one, I don't know. Vialia could be it. We could have, Zach Labert probably gets it. We'll have a look at Zach. Again, when we do the centers discussion, I didn't actually see Labert on there. I was sort of looking for him. I don't know. He might have been a bit more expensive than I thought, but potentially Vilea at 350k could be pretty good. I think he's got a fair bit of talent, Vilea. Bronson Xerri at 345 now. Does he get a spot? I mean, probably, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't played in a few years. He's still built like a fucking brick shithouse. Like, I don't think the physicality is going to be a worry for him, but we'll see if he's sort of ready to hop straight back into the NRL. But, like, again, I mean, the Bulldogs need the X factor. Bronson Xerri, he's got the talent. We'll see if he's good to go. And at 345, again, we'll see what pops up. On the reserves at the moment, we got Sua Fa'alongo at 340k. Now, I don't think he's going to stay in the team. I don't think Fa'alongo is going to get a spot. I know a few people have been saying like Fa'alongo is going to get a center spot, which is fucking insane. Like, he is not going to play in the centers. Like, bro, he is not going to play in the centers. He might, like, maybe get a wing spot, but, like, even then, I think having a small guy on the wing is fraught with danger. Like, it's just not a good idea unless you can be small but built like a fucking big boy like Brian Toto or even a Taylor May. Like, Fa'alongo, I think at the moment he's a fullback or nothing. Maybe he's like a 14 that comes off the bench for a bit of spark. So even then, you wouldn't want him obviously clogging it up. So Fa'alongo, I think a lot of people are probably going to get a little excited to put him in, but I don't know. I mean, team list, who knows? Maybe he gets a spot out in the back line, but I sort of doubt it, even though he is very, very good. But with Ryan Papenhuyzen back, hopefully fully fit, we'll see what happens there. Harley Smith-Shields from the Raiders going to the Gold Coast. Now, again, I just don't think he's going to get a spot in that Gold Coast backline because I think they have far better players than Smith-Shields. I think he's fine, but he's there for now. He's a cheapie. Someone else will pop up, but just a placeholder. And then Iro from the Sharks. Obviously, I mean, Iro is like fucking... He looks so much like Valentine Holmes when he plays. Like, sure. I'm like... Oh, I know obviously there's been a bit of talk about Talakai moving out. I mean, I don't think it's any talk like from the coaches, but from people like just watching. Like, anyone watching is like, just fucking... Like, Talakai is good, but like, he's not a natural center. Just put him in the fucking forward pack and bring a fucking natural talented center in Iro into the starting team. Like, surely they bring Iro in, man. Oh, if they don't, like, how is another team not trying to poach Iro? I just... We'll see. But surely Iro... Well, I don't know. I can definitely see him not getting a spot and them just sticking with Talakai in the centers, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. The centers, though, man, I don't know. It's a tough one. And then the fullbacks. So, the fullbacks, again, it's going to be a long discussion, the fullbacks, because there are so many. I feel like there's just so many more options than there used to be, because in the past, it was pretty much just like Tedesco, Trebojevic, Papenhuyzen, pretty much those three. Was there another big name? It's probably pretty much it, right? Tedesco, Papenhuyzen, Trebojevic. You had to have like one of those guys. I'm trying to think who was the other like big names. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, like a couple of years ago when these guys were absolutely killing it, like it was sort of out of those guys. But now, I mean, fuck, you got like Ponga, Drinkwater, Reece Walsh. I mean, even Gutherson was fucking solid for me. Latrell Mitchell on his day. Yeah, there's some really good stuff. And at the moment, I mean, I still believe like Tom Trebojevic was injured again last year, but he still fucking averaged 81. Like, he still averaged 81 for the season. For the games, he played 11 matches. He averaged 81 when he was like pretty much injured for the whole year, I feel like. So if Trbojevic somehow gets fucking fit and doesn't have an injury-affected year, I genuinely think he will be the best fullback option. And then Ryan Papenhuyzen, like, I don't know. Do you take the gamble on Pappy coming back from another sort of serious, I mean, obviously not as serious as a kneecap issue, but, you know, the ankle break was not nice, but definitely not the worst. Like, put it into a bit of context. I know people are sort of carrying on a little bit that he got injured again, but like it was a bad break for sure, but it was nothing compared to the knee issue he had. So the fact he came back from that, I actually, thinking back to that dude, I still cannot believe fucking Nelson fucking Asofa Solomona. I cannot believe that happened in his fucking comeback game, dude. But I think he'll be good to go. Obviously, don't know how everything is gone, but I can expect a fully fit, or at least probably fully fit Papenhuyzen to start, I hope. And if he is fully fit, like, it's just hard to leave him out. At 640k, like, he is no doubt, like, he's in no doubt at all the best value fullback option with the upside. Like, there's obviously guys that can score as well as him and stuff, but they're like, I mean, they're fucking a lot more expensive. So at the moment, we're going with the two fucking injury-prone boys and Papenhuyzen and Trbojevic. I could definitely be swayed against that. I mean, Kalen Ponga was unbelievable. Scott Drinkwater was unbelievable. Like, there are some good options, but we're going with the old classics there, and Trbojevic and Papenhuyzen. But yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up. That's the first mock team. Obviously, it's going to change a lot. Yeah, it definitely will, but there's definitely going to be quite a few guys that stick around. Having a quick squiz, like, at the moment, Trbojevic and Papenhuyzen, I think, will stick around. It depends how they're fit. Like, if there's any sort of injury concern with either of them, they're gone. But if they're saying they're fully fit, they're good to go, it's going to be hard to leave them out. I think Garrick and Taylor May are lock-ins. And then, yeah, the rest of the centre wings, probably not. We'll see. Dylan Brown, lock in. Aiden Caesar, probably locked in. Nathan Cleary, locked in. Kickout and Lane, locked in. The rest of them, there's so many good options. Payne Haas and Flegler, I think, are locked in. And then Robson, no. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with the dummy half. But at the moment, that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully, you guys are enjoyed the video back. There's obviously going to be a lot more coming up. Like I said, I'm going to go through each positional play and have a more deep dive look at it, which will be good for me as well. It's just nice to sort of have a closer look at position by position. You have a quick look and you'll miss some guys. So it's good to actually look through and not miss any of the important guys. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and comments, and stay tuned for more in the coming future.